The green flag then has cleared at the back. Let's hope those rain spots stay away as we get lights out and we are racing in MotoGP here in this historic British Grand Prix. The dream launch from the middle of that front row by the world champion Pecco Bagnaia. Aleix Espargaro sandwiched in between Jorge Martin and Enea Bastianini. It's a factory Ducati 1-2 as it stands right now. Aleix Espargaro tries to fight back going through turn 3, but Bagnaia leads.
Yeah, Marc Marquez is now right behind him and up the inside of Aleix Espargaro. One of the KTMs was left on the grid. It was Brad Binder who went nowhere after Lays at the back of the field.
There was contact there, I think, between Aleix Espargaro and Jorge Martin, already swapping some of their special paintwork here at Silverstone. Aleix Espargaro was hung out to dry there by his great friend Martin. Now Aleix Espargaro down to 5th from pole.
Big move into Brooklands there from Jack Miller. Someone just shot off into the runoff there on the outside. You can see a couple of bikes, I think, down.
Was it, maybe?
It's the two Trackhouse riders, I think. Both Miguel Oliveira and Ralph Fernandez dropping down the order. The Trackhouse teammates have taken each other off. Maverick Vinales has dropped to 10th. He's just gained one, so back into the top 10. Aleix Espargaro's 4th. Here's the battle between the first of the VR46 Ducatis. That's Gian Antonio taking Pedro Acosta for 7th place.
Yeah, Costa got on the inside of Digi there, going through turn 3, but Gian Antonio was able to sweep back, cut to the inside line for turn 4. That means Acosta's got all that hard work to do once again. They're battling at the moment for 7th and 8th place, a little bit further down to the back end of that top 10. Now that's Bastianini who's got in really hot. Seriously wide there, was he going into Brooklands? That's an easy mistake to make as you decelerate down from 6th to 2nd gear for that tight left-hander. So the beast slips back to 3rd.
He was having a little bit of a sniff there as Bastianini once again outbreaks himself. That's going to put him well and truly under pressure from Aleix Espargaro. Is going to be all over him like a rash, as red as the factory Ducati 2003 colour scheme that's heading down the straight. Bastianini safe into Abbey ahead of Aleix Espargaro, but those mistakes from Bastianini saw him lose 0.6 of a second to Bagnaia on that 2nd lap.
Yeah, is he just suffering with a full fuel tank here? It's going to get worse for the sprint winner yesterday. In fact, Aleix Espargaro does indeed dispense of the Italian, and now on the inside comes 93 Marc Marquez. Got to be careful here. Bastianini with that beautiful Mike Hailwood tribute helmet on the factory Ducati, but he's been seriously beaten up here early on. 4th now he sits behind Aleix Espargaro and under real big pressure from the Marquez brothers.
Riding on board at the moment with the reigning world champion as Jorge Martin continues to nibble away at the gap. He gained 2/10 on the previous lap, 59.0 versus a 59.2 for Pecco Bagnaia. Halfway around this lap, he's gained another 10, so that early threat that we saw of Bagnaia potentially streaking off into the distance when Bastianini lost 2nd place has at least been quelled for now, as we now ride on board through Chapel Corner, the left-hander, which leads us onto the hangar straight, and a 0.6 of a second gap behind us, or behind Aleix Espargaro. Bastianini still not exactly making much of an indent on the trio ahead of it.
For all you Morbidelli fans watching at home, and I know there's plenty of you, Frankie Morbidelli has just completed his double long lap penalty. It's dropped him out of the points at the moment in 16th place. That's to Gian Antonio on the inside of Acosta going into turn 3. Nice move, couple of times in that turn 3 early on here in Silverstone. Didier has toughed it out with Acosta. It's going the way of the Italian right now. Gian Antonio, you can just see there at the back of your picture how quickly he's dropped Pedro Acosta, having had a fairly frantic early battle with the Spanish rookie on that last lap. Didier did a 1:59.223, and immediately he's been able to streak away by over a second to Acosta, who's suffering early on here on the Gas RC16 machine, and potentially suffering very, very quickly in terms of an assault from Gian Antonio will be Alex Marquez. In fact, it is, just as we were talking about it, he just slides on the inside of Alex, although he's going to run in, well, that's going to be close. On the inside he had for the entry to Vale, then as they start attacking towards Club Corner, Gian Antonio got the better of it twice in quick succession. So the Gian Antonio now inside that top 6, albeit very, very briefly.
Brave move from Alex Marquez to go up the inside into Abbey. Is Gian Antonio going to hang it around the outside of Farm Curve as we now cut to the leaders? Who came out on top between Didier and Alex Marquez? It was Gian Antonio, but that battle still rages on.
Yeah, and loving the Pertamina Enduro VR46 livery. A nod, of course, to 9 times world champion Valentino Rossi. They were sport for choice in terms of the unique liveries that Rossi ran throughout his career. Alex Marquez, retaliation instant on the Gian Antonio. They go side by side, elbow to elbow, bar to bar racing. This, isn't it, between the two Ducati GP23s. This is what, 5 or 6 times now in the space of half a lap they've overtaken each other. And look what this battle has done. Out of nowhere, Pedro Acosta was a second behind Alex Marquez and Fabio the Gian Antonio. This ding-dong has seen Acosta now get right onto the back wheel.
Jorge Martin then staring at potentially reclaiming the World Championship lead if he can reverse the order of these two Ducatis up ahead of us. It's interesting, though, because speaking to Pecco Bagnaia on Friday, he said, hey, Jorge Martin's quicker than me at the moment in terms of ultra race pace. Of course, generally Bagnaia gets stronger the longer the weekend goes on, uses the data from the Tissot sprint to give himself the best possible chance and setup for the race on the Sunday. But of course, Bagnaia only did a few laps of the sprint before he dumped it from 4th place.
If Bastianini has to double up here at Silverstone, he's got to crack on with this, because look, the gap between Bagnaia, Martin and Aleix Espargaro is increasing corner by corner, isn't it, here in Silverstone? So Bastianini has got to find a way through on Aleix Espargaro, you feel, very, very shortly, because Aleix Espargaro just has not got the pace mid-distance at the moment to go with the two factory Dukes ahead of him. Bagnaia and Martin are just trying to get away here. Aleix not helped, as we mentioned, by the mistake, but he's lost another 4 tenths already on this current lap. The gap now nearly a full second.
Yeah, you can see Bastianini and Marc Marquez now climbing all over the back of Aleix Espargaro, and I think Bastianini's decided now is the moment to strike, although Aleix Espargaro very, very late on the brakes. Was he slightly too late? The answer is yes. Bastianini now up into the top 3, which is now an all Ducati GP24 top 3.
You can see that factory pulling the medium rear tyre twitching as Aleix Espargaro got on the gas. He did everything he possibly could to defend that final place on the podium. Could still, of course, find himself inside the top 3. But once again, the top 3 is an all Ducati affair. They've locked out the podium in the last 6 MotoGP races, and now with Bagnaia, Bastianini getting on with this. The Gaffey's got to recover, having taken 3rd from Aleix Espargaro. 1.3 seconds as Martin's going for it on the inside of Bagnaia into turn 3. This British Grand Prix then is starting to come alive. Jorge Martin then takes the lead, and as it stands at the moment, he leads the MotoGP World Championship.
Oh, that would have been brave if Bagnaia was going to send it up the inside of Jorge Martin on their way onto the Wellington Straight. So now Bagnaia has to do the chasing, not just in the race, but if you put the flag out now, Jorge Martin would have his World Championship lead back. 59.1 for Bastianini. Martin goes wide, though, into turn 3 village corner, but he's got the inside line now for the loop. But Enea Bastianini has now been brought right onto the tail of our leading 2.
Yeah, the beast now well up for the double. He knows that he is right in contention, and we know how good he is at late race time management. Here he goes. Oh, he thought about it. He really thought about it. You could see his factory Ducati was snaking sideways. It went left. It went right before he flicked it in to Brooklands corner. Bagnaia does just about hold on. Martin, though it is, that still leads.
Through the first sector, Martin's lead is up to half a second, and Bagnaia is struggling. He was slower than Marc Marquez on that last lap, and only just quicker than Aleix Espargaro. Bagnaia's pace has dropped off as Martin continues to lap in the 59s.
We don't say this very often, do we? Very, very rarely, but it looks like Bagnaia is actually holding another Ducati rider up, and he's in wide. He goes wide through Luffield, and through a wide open gap goes Enea Bastianini. OK then, Beast, what have you got for a British Grand Prix double here then now? We'll just check the gap then. It's a second, 9 tenths through sector 2 is the gap between Martin and Bastianini, but is Bagnaia running out of grip and running out of potential for a British Grand Prix win?
Yeah, just lost the front by the looks of it from the helicopter shot. We were, of course, looking backwards from Bagnaia rather than looking forwards, but that certainly looked what it appeared to happen to me. And Aleix Espargaro and Marc Marquez, will they suddenly start to move into contention behind the reigning world champion? And, of course, Bagnaia, now having lost 3rd place, will surely be saying under his crash helmet, go ahead, Enea, go and win the Grand Prix.
Fair play to Bagnaia. Marquez then finally does find a way through on Aleix Espargaro. Two Spanish war horses, veterans there of MotoGP, aren't they? Aleix Espargaro's hopes of back-to-back British Grand Prix wins pretty much disappeared out the window. They have faded rapidly here. He's now back in 5th place, 59.373 from Bastianini on 15-lap-old tyres. Around this tyre-punishing, long, technical, demanding Silverstone layout is some rapid pace, keeping the pressure firmly on the shoulders of Martin, who is resisting. He has not looked like cracking as yet. Just look at the beast, spinning that rear tyre, going through the mind-blowing Woodcote corner on the inside curve, pinned in 5th gear, 225 kilometres an hour. That's why these riders are the best of the best. This is building up to a thrilling climax here at Silverstone. Forget Bagnaia, forget Aleix Espargaro, forget Marc Marquez. They are way out of contention for the victory. It is all down to 2 stars. Martin versus Bastianini. They now attack hard on the brakes at the end of the hangar straight, back 3 gears down to the 3rd gear Stoke corner. Very, very shortly there are going to be just 2 laps remaining here at Silverstone. Just under 12 kilometres remaining. It looks like it could be yet another last lap thriller.
It's sector 2 where René Bastianini tends to take a lot of the time out of Jorge Martin. So far on this most recent lap, he was 2/10 quicker in that second sector before Martin stabilised the situation. They exchange 1:59.5. The second sector takes you out of Aintree corner down the Wellington Straight and up towards the exit of Woodcote, so potentially into Copse, and René Bastianini might well be close enough for an attack.
Both worthy winners. You feel that nobody really deserved to lose this Grand Prix, as Martin has blinked. He has blinked and made a mistake going into turn 3. How decisive then could that be? René Bastianini did not even have to try and be aggressive. He did not have to work out the puzzle of how to find a way through on Martin. That could be the key moment of this British Grand Prix.
Well, it's not as big an error as he made on the penultimate lap at the Sachsenring, but once again, with 2 to go, Jorge Martin might have seen a race victory slip through his fingers. Hard on the brakes into Village Corner, and he just can't get that Ducati stopped. René Bastianini, the easiest race lead that he's ever taken in his life, and has Jorge Martin got anything to fight back with?
1 lap to go, almost coming up very, very shortly. Halfway around the penultimate lap here. René Bastianini then, never taken a sprint success until yesterday. There'd have been long odds on the beast rocking up to Silverstone for our retro livery spectacle and walking away with a dream double, but that's exactly what he's on course for right now. They weave their way through the high-speed Maggots and Beckett section. Time running out for Pramac Racing's Jorge Martin. He's going to have to leave it all out there on this final lap, as René Bastianini is almost half a second clear into this 4th split.
And how much risk is Jorge Martin prepared to take? He knows that Pecco Bagnaia is behind him down the road. He's behind him by 3 seconds. It's not the race victory that Jorge Martin would have wanted if you put the flag out now. It's going to be out in a lap's time, but it would be the World Championship lead back in the possession of Jorge Martin. It's 0.6 of a second in the advantage of Bastianini. That gap continues to grow and grow, and the beast has this one now firmly in his grasp.
Last lap on the way then here at Silverstone. 0.8 of a second nearly the gap between Bastianini and Jorge Martin. Incredible job this by René Bastianini. Pre-race we heard from Prima Pramac Ducati boss Gino Borsoi, who told Simon Crafar, imperative, doesn't matter where he finishes, just make sure he does finish. That was the message loud and clear to Jorge Martin. He's rolled out of this. He knows that René Bastianini is just too good, too strong, too fast, and the beast at the moment in cruise control, on course for a fairy tale double here. And Lewis, we have to start thinking he's coming right into the equation, into the conversation. René Bastianini, World Championship title contender.
Well, there was 67 points, the gap between Bagnaia and Bastianini when this weekend began. It looks at this stage as if that gap is going to be down to 46. He's going to have taken a third of the points out of him in this round, so Bastianini will start to believe. Makes no question about that. Martin has rolled off. Bastianini has got Maggots, Beckett and Chapel before the final sector between him and a 75th anniversary success.
Martin then settling for the 20 points, thinking bigger picture of the World Championship. He will go to the Austrian Grand Prix in the Styrian Mountains at Spielberg in 2 weeks' time as the new MotoGP World Championship leader, back in a position of supremacy, back in a position of authority. But it has been an authoritative performance throughout this British Grand Prix weekend for Bagnaia Bastianini. Steady on Bagnaia, heart in mouth as he got a big wobble on the rear tyre coming out of Stowe. On the front row of the grid yesterday, his first sprint success is going to be followed up with some joyous celebrations as we celebrate our 75th anniversary season, and taking the spoils at Silverstone in a stunner goes Bagnaia Bastianini. What a performance by the Italian, still doing 59s on the very last lap. James and Oliver Phelps, of course, the Weasley twins from Harry Potter. Well, I don't think J.K. Rowling could have written a better script this weekend for Bagnaia Bastianini. He does complete his first ever double in the MotoGP World Championship.